Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Then and Now podcast. I'm your co-host, Captain Diesel, and I'm joined with the normal co-host, Professor E, King of the Comics, Ethan Murphy. But today we have a very, very special guest. She is going to run our third and our three-man weave because we're missing our trusty colleague Otis in New York Comic Con. So he's there doing his big one. And we decided to, since it's October, cover some horror content. And who better else to bring on for horror content than Smurfette herself?
I wish I could flip you off without being mean.
I mean, I don't think this way to do
I
it.
know you can. There's no reason not to.
No, because then people will think that I'm mean, and I'm not. I'm very nice.
Right. Dr. Knight, how are you doing?
Although
I'm
she
good.
figured up,
You said
I'm
what?
good.
I know. I was just saying. I mean, though she did make it clear she wants to do it, so you are counteracting the nice juices you're trying to produce. But fair enough.
She'll be fake, so I got to make sure people understand and know that she's mean as fuck.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not
She gonna act
mean.
nice when the cameras
I'm
come on.
so nice.
No, I mean we all love Kiari, but she is what she is. She is what she is.
All right. Everybody, we are here to cover a special topic today. Obviously, within horror, this is going to be a little bit of a trope, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Trope with a P.
Or the concept, we'll say a concept or a theme here, but the concept of the final girl within horror movies.
It's a trope.
It's a trope, whatever you want to call it. Whatever, it is what it is. For people that aren't aware of what final girls are, though, final girls are essentially like the namesake, final girls. They are the usual women that you see at the end of horror movies that survived in the end. For example, people like Ellen Ripley from the Alien movies, Laurie Strode from Halloween, Sidney Prescott from Scream, Nancy Thomas from the Nightmare on Elm Street films. Those are like in the same realm of people that we're talking about here. But we wanted to have a conversation. Well, I wanted to have a conversation more so about their purpose within writing and kind of what inspired them. Because I did some research for a video essay that I have coming out soon that really made me look at it very interestingly. And it really goes deeper into the sociology aspect of it and what it meant to the society that it was in at the time. So to start with, I want to kind of look at where this trend kind of started and the point of it. So this is just, I'll ramble here, stay with me. In the late 60s, early 70s, obviously you saw a bunch of stuff going on around the time with the changes in the world from the Vietnam War. This is like right after the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So black people were just getting their rights. Woo, go us. And you started to see like the peace movement, a lot of freedom aspects trying to be implemented within the country at that point in time as well. What comes with all this is that you're starting to see a lot more freedom of expression from women at this point in time. Women are going out and they are hanging out at clubs or bars a lot more frequently. They're traveling by themselves out. They're taking public transportation. They're being a lot more free with how they're going about things. This then led to a lot of the, sad but true stories of serial killers at this point in time going around. People like Ed Gein, people like a Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer. Well, Dahmer didn't really prey on as many women, but these women are easier targets now because these killers, the Night Stalker, these are people that are easy targets now. What then spawned from that when you saw horror movies, and this is something that I saw in a documentary they were talking about the making of Halloween, funny enough, was that final girls were meant to be kind of a scare tactic in a way to kind of scare women straight from being quote unquote promiscuous. The women that usually were final girls that survived in these films were women that were virgins, women that were not doing delinquent activities, they weren't debaucherous. And all their colleagues who were having premarital sex or partaking in drugs and doing things like vandalism, they were dying in gruesome ways that usually reflected the thing that they were doing. So if you're looking at Nightmare on Elm Street, I can't remember the name of the character who died, but she's dying having, during coitus, well, post-coitus, she's goes to sleep after coitus and gets ripped up by by Freddy, I'm sorry. You see another woman is having sex in a tent and Jason drags her out in a sleeping bag and is killing her with a sleeping bag. So these deaths are kind of mirroring a little bit of what they were doing at that point in time. Now, I want to ask you specifically, starting with Ethan, because you're a little bit older than us. So your era that you were watching films in were, well, Kara, I forgot that you're ancient as well.
First
you're
of
kind
all,
of,
relax.
I'm assuming, okay, you're older than that? Younger
relax.
than that? What's the over-under on 75? You
I'm glad Kiari is here. Thank you, Kiari.
My question being is this when you're
Ancient
watching
is
these films,
crazy.
is this something that stood out to you in particular in regards to these concepts or the intended purpose of these final girls, or what did you think of the concept, or did you notice it at all?
I didn't. There were certain elements that I noticed. Obviously, not growing up, when I was a kid watching them, but as I got older, like in my 20s, I remember the first movie I obviously was aware of the whole idea in a sense of a final girl was Scream, because Scream, made by Wes Craven, was in a way it was paying homage to his previous work with the Nightmare on Elm Street and whatnot, but also it was satirizing it too, right? So it was pretty much hanging a lantern on the whole idea of a final girl. And the whole idea of the quote unquote, the reason they call it a final girl as opposed to a final woman or what have you, is because they are literally, they're meant to be before their maturity. They're in the, for example, with Laurie Strode, who was she was in high school in Halloween. Sidney Prescott is in high school in a Scream. They are not women yet; they're meant to be girls. And the idea is that they still are able to take down the big bads. But to answer your question, I wasn't nearly as aware of it when I was younger watching it. The cliche, not cliche, but the trope did start to kind of, I did take notice of it when I was watching other things like you mentioned, Ellen Ripley, or even Sarah Connor, who's my favorite all-time favorite final girl is Sarah Connor in the Terminator films. The idea that I noticed when I was watching these movies, I felt that much more of an attachment to seeing a young lady survive or have to deal with the big bad wolf by themselves, as opposed to having the knight in shining armor or whatnot around them to help protect them. Even as far as back as like the Little Red Riding Hood, the idea is she has to face the wolf by herself for the most part. So I did notice the trope without really understanding it, if that makes sense.
Kaori, I'm really interested to see what you have to say about this, because you are a young lady. This trope usually kind of applies to you, and it was kind of targeted at you and people in your age demographic. How did you feel?
Like, I'm 35, so I'm confused. Why we're going through this right now.
How do you feel about Final Girls? How did you feel about Final Girls?
So weirdly enough, the first horror movie that I saw was Psycho. However, they describe Lila as being a survivor girl, not a final girl, because she's not a virgin. Or right. Whatever. So very much not a virgin. After that, I saw Halloween, and then I saw Scream, because my dad wanted to terrify me, because my first anime movie was Akira, so I didn't get to have no trauma. But I always thought it was interesting that I felt like it was kind of like a mirror of what they were trying to say with Disney movies, where the main character, like the girl, was overcoming all of this stuff. So the main ones that I've always thought about were Pocahontas and Mulan, because they actually did stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I saw Psycho, Scream, and Halloween, that's immediately where I went. I was like, oh, so like if they were Disney princesses, that like this would be cool. But I didn't notice it as like a trope or anything like that. I just thought it was interesting. The only one that I actually noticed as a trope was like Black survivors at the end of the horror movie, because I was like, I would, like most people, I was like, Black character dies first. And then when Ice Cube did not die in Anaconda, I was like, oh, so we're good. So we're good. So that one was a trope that I noticed. But the final girl, I didn't really notice it until probably about Halloween.
Did you? I'm really interested to know if this was actually effective to any extent, because I'm watching, because I think I don't know how much of the Ed Gein season of Monster you watched on Netflix, but they were showcasing how Ed Gein was obviously the inspiration for the Psycho film and all that good stuff, and they were showing like what's Buddy's name, the director for Psycho, Alan.
For Psycho? Alfred Hitchcock?
Hitchcock. Yeah, Alfred Hitchcock. I'm sorry.
I almost said Alan Rickman when you said that, and I was like,
I
oh,
almost did too.
What's going on?
They were showcasing like
we apologize.
how people were reacting to the film. Like, granted, in this show, they were probably like dramatizing it a little bit. Like, women were forced into labor, people were throwing up, people were passing out at this concept of like this woman being brutally murdered within the shower scene in this film. And obviously, it affected people on a mental level at that point in time. And then you have stuff like the Halloween film when that came out, how it was affecting people in the 70s. I'm curious if there's like any rates of like juvenile crime dropping at that point in time, or like if women, because obviously like women and women's empowerment only kind of grew from that point on. But I'm curious if like this trend of horror movies or this trope actually maybe like slowed some of that down at all, like by maybe scaring some of these teens straight.
So I mean, part of it too is you're alluding to it, you're talking around it, as you mentioned, of course, the civil rights movement in the late 60s, or I guess early 60s. But part of it too was, as we got to late 60s and 70s, was the sexual revolution, and that also liberated women a lot, people in general, but women especially. So in a sense, like you're saying, movies were almost like they were trying to have their own like Hays Code, trying to slow women down from being so promiscuous, so to speak. So that was obviously, that was in direct contrast to that. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. And like you said before, obviously Ed inspired Leatherface and in the Psycho. What's his name in Psycho? I forgot his name.
Bateman.
Norman Bates.
Norman Bates. That's right. And in Psycho. So yeah, of course these were inspired by it. But it's funny because, like as you said, Carrie. By the way, real quick, your dad took you to see or showed you the movie Akira, where a non-final girl is named Kaori and your name is Kaori. It's like, I would be like, whoo, that's what are you doing, Dad? Why would you do it? I mean, also for those who haven't seen Akira, Kaori's death is it's not pretty. It is not.
It is not.
It is not pretty.
But see, when I picked the name, I was watching so Kaori Knight is but in the show her name is Kaori Knight. It's the villain from Sailor Moon.
Right.
For when they bring in Sailor Saturn. She's the one with the red hair. I was like, I love her so much.
I forgot all about that. I thought it was from
not your government name.
I thought the name. It's from Sailor Moon. Jesus. Okay. Oh wow.
I was literally like obsessed with Sailor Moon when I was younger.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
So like, and when they came out with that one, with that season, and she came on, I was like, oh my God, I love her so much. Oh
no, that makes sense. Fair. Facts. I'm my bad. I didn't get off track. I apologize, Soups. But yeah, it was funny how Kaori, based off of Sailor Moon, mentioned the idea of a survivor girl, and how earlier in the film because the biggest name, that Ann Darrow, we believe she's going to survive the whole movie. Why wouldn't she? She's beautiful, yada yada yada. And they go very much against the trope, which is just barely established at that point. And they, spoiler alert for Psycho, they offer in halfway through the movie essentially, and no one saw it coming, to the point where they literally, at the time in the 50s or 60s when they showed the movie in theaters, they Hitchcock made sure that theaters across the country they basically locked the doors, so you could not come in late. You had to be there the whole time, and they wouldn't allow spoilers to happen. You couldn't tell anybody what you saw, because they didn't want to ruin the surprise that the survivor girl, that the biggest draw to the movie, dies halfway through it, so to speak. So it was already whenever that movie came out, I can't remember the year, I'm sorry. It was a direct subversion of the trope then. And also going back to Akira, the final girl actually is Kei in that movie, or that manga. And she very much in lots of ways embodies lots of the same tropes that a final girl does. I'm not getting the whole virginity thing, but she's very much meant to be much more pious type of being that does survive. Not to bash Kaori, because for all we know, Kaori is virgin too. But it's bizarre how both those movies that Kaori saw early on subvert some of the tropes with the genre, of the genre.
What I would like to kind of jump to next is the idea of that evolution, because obviously as more people are getting into horror, as time's going on, we're starting to get more directors who aren't as straight up like misogynistic with the way they're writing their final girls. These final girls are surviving aren't all untouched and pure of nature. You're starting to see a lot more people like a Sarah Connor, More recently with someone like Sienna Shaw, where these women are, we at least know for a fact that Sarah Connor is an aversion because she has a child, but these are people who traditionally
later on.
But we knew. Well, we don't know.
We get into that.
I don't know. I don't know when she was
movie number one. We don't know.
Yeah. We know she won't be at certain. We know that. We know she won't be. But the point being, these.
So real quick with Terminator 1, we literally see her roommate, who is promiscuous, right after she has sex, get killed by a Terminator. And then we don't know if Sarah is a virgin for the most part of the movie. And then literally when she does slap cheeks or knock boots with Kyle Reese, then she's pursued that much harder. So yes, we believe she's a virgin in the early part. We don't know, but she's definitely not one later on. So yeah.
We know at bare minimum, like, because in the second movie, John was like 10 maybe. It was a big time jump. So she had to have had him like relatively recently after the events of the first film.
So yeah, I mean, Kyle gets her. She's pregnant at the end of the first movie.
Yeah. All to say the least. Traditionally, she would be like, in at least her post coitus, she'd be the type of character that would get murdered off. Where she's very, at least, when I think of her, I'm thinking of her in T2, where she's a lot more aggressive, a lot more militant, a lot stronger, more independent of a character. Those usually wouldn't make it. Especially when I'm thinking back to like Jason X or Friday X, or whatever. He's in space. And you have like these these literal military women who are like hardcore tough, getting slaughtered by Jason, and the people that are surviving are the student. Granted, student was kind of promiscuous at that point because I think she had sex with a professor or something like that. Again, so around that time, like the what is it, the 80s, I guess, like the mid 80s is when you started to kind of see that shift a little bit. With regards to these characters being like they're worthy of being final girls without having to be pure. Essentially, they don't have to be like a Nancy Thompson or like a Laurie Strode for the most part.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Jason
X. I see what you're saying.
I don't know why that came to my mind first, but I just remember like the women being hardcore in that. I feel like I remember the one kill, the corkscrew kill. Well, matter of fact, I don't think that was one.
That was the one good moment. Yeah,
but I think back to more. I'm looking like now to more like modern final girls, to where these final girls aren't just surviving, but they're fighting back. I'm looking at somebody like a Sienna Shaw from the Terrifier films. I'm looking at, I can't remember her name, but she was in Ready or Not. Granted, it's more of a comedic horror, but same thing.
Yeah, not Sienna Miller. What's her face?
I almost said Sigourney Weaver, but it's Samara Weaving. Samara Weaving. Yeah. You start to see a lot more final girls fight back actively and like take the fight to the thing that's pursuing them.
But even with Samara Weaving in Ready or Not, she is wearing the white purity dress. I mean, they are aware of the trope. It's very much aware of the trope.
Yeah, so the funny thing with that though is that because I saw like some BTS where they were talking about that. If you watch the movie from beginning to end, you see that dress is slowly getting torn apart and dirtied up as she's becoming more. So like it's like that movie feels like it's actively fighting that whole thing of like the purity aspect. Like she's getting more capable, more safe as she's ditching that purity.
I would also put not that. I'm not sure what you would classify. Somebody said dark comedy, but somebody also called it a horror. And Anya Taylor-Joy's character in The Menu.
Yeah.
She was definitely not a virgin at all.
no, and her job is literally.
Yeah.
But she is. So you're 100% right. Yeah, both of y'all are right. The idea of it's more or less now it is like a final woman or survivor woman in the sense that so that's where it gets into sociology. As I told y'all before we started recording, how I have some friends who are very much into this, and the idea is why a female protagonist works better oftentimes in horror storytelling, even something as recent as Weapons, right? Where we have oh my God, what's her name? Dev, the blonde woman.
Julia Gardner.
She's clearly not by no means is she the virgin girl type of thing of purity, but it's interesting to watch the story from her point of view as she survives it. And what they were saying is how you mentioned Anya Taylor-Joy. Anya Taylor, there's several scenes where we see Anya Taylor-Joy right next to Ray Fiennes. Ray Fiennes, who's like 6'3", 6'4", and the idea is it's meant to be, again, it is Little Red Riding Hood facing down the beast, facing down the big bad wolf, so to speak. That is much more. It's more compelling, and it's more. It just is kind of like the horror is more inherent when we see things from the point of view of a quote unquote smaller person, so to speak. That's why it can be that much more engaging. We feel that much more, the danger seems that much more palpable. That makes sense.
I'm gonna say, Charlie, don't you dare.
What? I legit was, what's going on?
Because when he said from a smaller person, I saw your face.
Oh, you see, I was thinking about the next comment. I didn't even think he had a short jerk off. I'm sorry.
You can argue. I'm not saying you can't disagree. I'm just saying,
I'll
like,
be obviously for it now. I'll be looking at the setup now.
I'm not. You can disagree. You can disagree. I'm just saying that it's in general, women are usually, especially in these movies, they portray them specifically to have smaller women and bigger men, or Beast or Jason X, or they're meant to be small, bigger.
No, he just likes to make fun of my height. So when you said smaller person, I was like, I see you, Charlie.
No, I wasn't. What I was thinking about when she looked at my face, I was thinking about like kind of additionally adding on to your point, the whole idea of sociologically speaking, as a person, you have an idea of, and it's, how do I put this in like the best way possible without sounding misogynistic? Usually, you understand that women physically aren't as imposing when it comes to men, and especially a lot of the DV situations, we see that men are usually overpowering women physically in that standpoint. So in your mind, you kind of already know, especially as a woman or as a man, that power dynamic there. I think it even works even furthermore like children. When we talked about it before, we're looking at like, I can't remember the kid's name, but like from the Child's Play films where, yeah, Chucky is like significantly shorter than him. Yeah, he's significantly shorter than him, but you understand this is a child. Like, he doesn't have the capabilities to fight this killer. So it's instantly making, because I think I've talked about it in a past video on my channel, where the most important thing to a great horror film, especially in the slasher film, is having people care about the death of the person or the potential death of the person. And usually the easier thing is to kind of pick the person who inherently is going to have a frame or a stature that's going to be perceived as more meek or more weak, according, like, in opposition to the large murderer or whatever the murderer is. But it is something I found interesting, though.
100%. I couldn't agree more. I mean, again, we are speaking generalizations, obviously, but I couldn't agree more. That's what my friends were talking about, because they actually are, some of them are lead therapists and everything else, but they were talking about how literally, they asked me myself, because I'm a 6'2" black dude, right, in LA, and like, how often do you just, as you're walking casually down the street, do you fear for your life as you're just walking around? And I'm like, generally speaking, even in LA, I'm cool. I'm just chilling. It's just, it is what it is. And they're like, for them, it's a different scenario, because they have to, even if the guy seems nice, even if things seem cool, it's much easier. They can be on the precipice of danger, and it's easier for them to be in danger than it is for us. It's just how it is. Like you say, and it's something to think about. So when a movie is accurately able to portray that kind of inherent fear that women have to live in, it's, even as guys, we can kind of on some level appreciate it, even though we can't quite sympathize with it. So that's
I actually saw something. It was on Facebook. Of course, that would aggravate me. But this girl, she said that she brought her friend to a date. And the friend wasn't like there. Like, she was there, but she wasn't like sitting at the table with them. She was kind of just like away. And they were just like, why would you bring your friend to a date? And the girls in the comment were just like, it's a safety thing. And then someone was like, if you don't feel safe, you probably shouldn't go out on a date. I don't know. I'm like, I don't think that you understand what that means. So the girl, of course, was just like, can you walk to your car without having security walk you to your car, or having your keys poised in your hand just in case someone tries to attack you at your car, or whatever, what have you. I was like, I have a weapons keychain. That I have a weapons keychain that has a taser, it has mace, or not mace, but pepper spray, because I can't have mace, so it has pepper spray, and then I just have a variety of weapons attached to my thing, and I carry that with me. And I'm like, I enjoy the trope of final girls, because obviously if put in a situation like that, we would have to fight back, right? So like, I was like, there's also that trend that goes around, run like a girl.
Yes.
on TikTok, yeah, Run Like a Girl, and they very often the edits that I see for that are the horror movie edits. It's either Run Like a Girl or Fight Like a Girl, and the Fight Like a Girl ones are always Sidney and Laurie. And I'm like, yes, exactly. The Run Like a Girl ones, of course, are just like the ones who have like escaped like those really scary situations, and I'm just like, you notice how we have to have trends like this? Do y'all have to have trends like that? No. So this statement makes no sense.
Yeah. To speak to that, I think an interesting thing. I'm assuming, have you guys seen Fresh with Sebastian Stan?
Yeah, a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. The idea of that.
That was
being
my husband,
like,
of course.
The idea of she's on this date and she feels safe. She feels as safe as can be. She's dating this guy. She's going steady, and it's still on a flip of a dime goes crazy. So again, it's something that I find particularly interesting because I don't feel like horror ever like pandered towards women in regards to messaging. Hell, even the concept of a final girl seemed like it was very problematic towards women. But I feel like it's more relatable to women just because of that standpoint, because these protagonists and final girls are usually women. You guys feel a certain level of fear watching it that us men won't have. We're probably terrified of the killer itself, like the concept of Jason or Michael Myers is scary, but I don't know what it would feel like to be in that situation versus you guys have been in those situations more frequently all the time. So it's interesting
because it's essentially like I'm just being chased by a man.
It's just Tuesday afternoon for you.
It's I'm being chased by a man.
Yeah, that's horrifying. It's horrifying. And it's even weirder too, as they mentioned the idea too, is because I saw the long walk with some friends, right? And one of them was a woman, and she mentioned how we saw a trailer for Black Phone 2. And if y'all have seen the more recent trailer for Black Phone 2, it's very much Freddy meets Jason with that mask character now. But there's the main thrust of the trailer is showing Finney's sister. I forgot her name, but she's like trying to convey to her brother, I'm being hunted by this guy. I'm terrified. And the idea that she's basically a final girl already, but she's struggling to find people to believe her, essentially. And even that's part of the horror or the terror that women had to face as well. As far as like, look, I'm being hunted, or I'm not safe. I don't feel safe. And we're like, when guys are very much like, oh, stop being hysterical. That trend was done obviously in Nightmare on Elm Street with Nancy talking to her dad, a cop. Remember that he wouldn't believe anything she said about it.
That was crazy too, because they were already like 3 bodies in. All her friends are dying in terrible ways. I'm like,
and you're not listening to me. Like what?
Yes, but that's a trend or a cliche or a trope. Also, when it comes to final girls, is that they are oftentimes trying to convey the danger to other people, especially men, and they don't believe them. They're literally called hysterical, and whatnot, and dismissed. Even Sarah Connor in Terminator. Too. Sorry,
I said that is a very scary reality too.
Of course, that's the real that's the horror that no offense to guys or whatever, but Charlie and I can't quite relate to as much, obviously, or we can sympathize on some level, empathize on some level, but that's something I'm sure Kay already understands better. Women typically understand better as far as it being dismissed by their male counterparts, as far as
Yeah, when it's especially when it's stalking, and I can't do anything because he hasn't like harmed you. You want him to harm me first? I'm not understanding what we're doing.
Right. This is to prevent that from happening. That's the whole point.
Right. You're the police. So like I'm telling you, like, you're the police or you're my friend, and I'm telling you, and it's like I'm telling you that this person is like literally stalking my life. And your immediate thing is either I think you're being over dramatic, or he hasn't really touched you yet, so I can't do anything. That's unhelpful to me, because then when I die, what are we doing?
I think the movie that like perfectly encapsulates that, in my opinion, is like The Invisible Man, more recent one.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
He's actively stalking her and making her seem crazy to people, and nobody
she
believes
was
her.
staying with her police friend, and I'm just like, it took him attacking you and your daughter in your home, trying to get to her, for you to even believe me, and I'm your friend, and you like he's literally making me seem like I'm crazy. But like all of this stuff that was that's happening right now wasn't happening just a little while ago, like we were like having a good time, we were good. Now all of a sudden you're making it seem like I'm crazy, and you're a police officer. Help me. Help me.
It's so sad, it's scary, it's so sad, it's funny. I mean, I think that's a big trope oftentimes too in horror, is the overwhelming incompetence of police. Even as we saw in the movie, both movies of Smile. I'm not sure if you guys have both. I know Charlie's seen the first Smile at least.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the Smile movies?
Yeah.
Okay. So in Smile 1 especially, the main character is very much going out of her way to be like, look, look, A-Train, my fiance, I am being terrified. I'm paranoid as hell. Help me. And he's like, oh, it's okay, wifey. Just chill. Just kind of like the idea of like overwhelmingly being extremely paranoid and horrified and having absolutely no help at all, consolation, even from your husband or fiance, whatever, as opposed to even the police. And then in Smile 2, it was just as bad, where she was doing everything she could trying to find some help from somebody somewhere. And the same idea as far as, look, you're on your own. You're paranoid. Get over yourself. And which is just horrifying. The idea of imagine knowing you're in the shit and can't find a single person that'll believe you. That's
I think even on the flip side, it's funny when you're thinking about people, like think back to people that you know in real life that have always acted hysterical about things, or people that are actually mentally ill, and how them giving you like insight on like, oh, I'm my imaginary friend this, or I'm seeing this thing, or this thing's bothering me. From the outside looking in, they seem crazy to you. They seem nonsensical. So it's that whole idea of like you know what it looks like from both sides. So it's playing into that whole perspective of you having both perspectives, I guess, of being somebody that feels irrational, or feel like they're calling you irrational, and then seeing somebody that seems irrational to you. It's interesting.
Yeah. And even when even when the final girl essentially is 100% doing everything they possibly can, when they are overwhelmingly competent, overwhelmingly intelligent, and it's clear, and the director is portraying them as such on purpose. Like, for example, with Barbarian, again with Zach Craig, guy who made Weapons.
Krieger, yeah.
It's also Barbarian. The woman in that movie is very much from the jump extremely intelligent. As you see it before Carrie, she's very reluctant to even go in the house in the first place. She does everything 110% right, and she ultimately she does survive barely, but it's like barely. But it's just like, yeah, you have to be like 3 steps ahead, as a final girl to survive, for the most part.
It's always been so crazy to me, because there is, of course, that you suspend the belief in order to enjoy the movie, but then there's just some things that you can't. There are some things that you can't. They're like, you're not supposed to. It's not that bad. It doesn't reflect reality like that. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does indeed.
Have you seen Who's in Office?
It does indeed.
Yeah.
It does indeed.
Yeah.
My question to y'all then, kind of looking into the future of what a horror could be, is there a particular new way forward you would like to see Final Girls explored in, or like different concepts, I guess, that haven't really been touched on in your mind?
Ooh. I think you kind of alluded to it in a way with I forgot old girl's name from Terrifier, and then of course with
Sienna Shaw.
Even and then with Samara Weaving in Ready or Not. There was the other one too that had I can't remember. You've seen it before, Deb. I know you have, but there was another one that where essentially the final girl, the main character, you don't know why she's able to kind of survive these weird traps. That she's kind of in a house with some strangers as well, and they have no idea why she's able to survive these traps. And they finally reveal that she grew up in a commune, basically of a whole bunch of weirdos. And
are You're Next? I think is what it's called.
Yeah, You're Next. Yeah, exactly. I knew you saw it.
My girl.
You're Next. Yeah, exactly.
My girl.
Yes, but I think what it is kind of like getting into, as opposed to the tired girl boss trope where they're just awesome for being awesome sake. It's a person who has actual legitimate credibility as being an awesome badass, and who's like pretty much looking for the fight, as opposed to when the fight comes, they are somehow they're able to survive it. Kind of in a way like almost like a Beatrix Kiddo who's like, I'm coming for you. Like I hunt down the actual like Blaze was Blade's daughter, right?
Yeah.
I'm not the final girl, as opposed to the final girl, I'm the first girl. I go out there looking for the trouble. I want the smoke.
First and last.
Yeah, first and last. Yeah, the alpha and the mega girl.
Right.
Carrie.
I like kind of the characters that Mia Goth was doing in the Maxine series. Yeah. So the way that they had her portrayed in that series, from Pearl to
Pearl X
Pearl
and
X and Maxine,
yeah,
whatever the last one was called. Yeah. I've enjoyed that, and then of course how they did Samara Weaving from Ready or Not. And then they were doing Ready or Not too, so interested. And then the girl from The Invitation, she was interesting too. I was like, I kind of like, so like kind of just like a combination of those and Anya Taylor-Joy's character from The Menu. Just I find just like different parts of them really interesting, because it's always like the parts that fight back, because in The Menu, she really wasn't having that shit. She said, first of all, you're not about to talk to me that way. Second of all, you need to apologize. And third of all, I don't like your food. So
it was
I can't get jiggy with this shit.
With Anya Taylor-Joy in The Menu, it was almost like, even if she wasn't in a crazy thriller, she was just like you said, I don't get this, I don't get disrespected, period. I'm out now because of that. Like that's that immediately.
Yeah, because you're not about to talk to me like that, actually. Yeah. So just I really kind of just like when they put that fighter spirit in it. My dog was being weird.
Oh, I thought I was to get quiet. I thought my computer had shut down for a second.
She was eyeing me pretty hard.
All I saw was outstretched paw back here, and I was like, "What is happening?" She doesn't have her tablet, so she's fidgeting back there. But yeah, I like the fighter spirit, not the necessarily the run like a girl part, but the fight like one.
Yeah. Go ahead, Charlie. No, I was just saying before we be remiss not to mention this also as a pretty nuanced trope in Cabin in the Woods. As far as the quote unquote final girl, she isn't a virgin. They make point to allude that she's not falling into those other categories, but that's okay. And she's still able to do her own thing. And she's not meant to be portrayed as a idealistic final girl, but she still does her thing. I like the idea of it being a non-idealistic final girl as well.
I honestly feel like I would want to see more of not final girls, but final boys. I feel like there is a lot of untouched fear that men would inherently have going around day to day that hasn't really been played with. At least for Black men, we've seen police been used before in regards to like police brutality and things like that. But I'm trying to think, like, as me as a man, like I feel like there are things that I go through on this throughout life that inherently give me fear. Maybe not physical threat, but maybe in trust in certain situations, or not being able to fulfill. I feel like there's something in that, and I think we're starting to see it with stuff like maybe potentially with him or other films like that kind of play into the whole aspect of maybe I'm not successful. That's maybe a fear that I have, and getting providing for my family and stuff like that.
Definitely one that I hear a lot.
Yeah, again, these are things that just inherently that you feel like you need to do, or like maybe expressing emotion. I feel like there's a lot of different ways you can approach it, but it's kind of an untapped market up until now because it requires a little bit more creativity, because men for the most part don't have that same sense of physical fear unless it's like you're outnumbered, I guess, or maybe like an animal possibly.
Or you have to go more mental, like you're saying, as far as what do men fear? Men fear inadequacy, or they fear like being overshadowed by their coworkers. Like kind of play into those tropes that men do fear and finding a way to make that entertaining and scary. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that for the most part, this episode. Do you have any other like thoughts or concerns on the concept of final girls that you want to kind of go over before we get up out of here?
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. So Misery, y'all have seen Stephen King's Misery, right? I feel like
actually, I don't think so.
Oh, have you read the
never
book?
Seen Misery?
Maybe I've seen clips of it, but I didn't recognize the name. No,
Carol, you've seen Misery, right? Okay. Yes. So that is very much a horror story from a man's point of view, particularly if you were a male celebrity and you had a female stalker. So that movie did do a good job of showing what it's like to be that way, as far as like being.
That is one that you definitely have to see if you're talking about things like that. Yeah, that's one that you definitely have to watch.
Yeah, it's an extreme emasculation of a man in a different way. That would be. I'm sorry, but go ahead, Charlie.
No, I was just asking. Yeah, because I'm trying to think. The emasculation concept. I don't think I've seen that too often outside of like literal stuff, but like removing of the man parts in something like Game of Thrones, I guess, where you're like seeing the skin.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
you definitely should watch Misery. Misery is very good.
Misery is a good flick, man. It's a good flick. Yeah,
so I'll check it out.
Or even like would y'all consider The Shining the way that's done? Where essentially
The Shining, yeah, or even when they did the sequel for Doctor Sleep.
Doctor Sleep, yeah, with the son. But the idea of with the being worried about your job or not being able to be a breadwinner or that kind of stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. Stephen King does that really well. That and the fact that he very clearly does not like children.
Yeah, he hates kids.
I think that's probably why.
Too much, maybe. I don't know.
No. He does not like.
We're not putting that out there.
And that's why him and I are like this, because we both don't like. But I wouldn't write books to murder them or anything like that. But whenever there are children in the book where Stephen King's name is on it, please know that they will die.
Well, yeah, or it would be a rough.
Personally responsible.
And he has kids. They whole
son. Right. And his son, he writes with his son. So I'm just like,
I'm looking at that kind of sideways, like, hey, gang, you good?
Like, was there something they wanted to complete when I was younger?
Ooh. You know what a cool innovation of the final girl was, obviously, in Carrie, OG Carrie. The idea that she was, because she's essentially the only girl being victimized up until the very end when she fights back then, where she becomes the actual monster. The idea of the final girl becoming a monster,
yeah. And then the only person that lived was like her friend, Sue.
The friend that was, who became the final girl, who actually was kind of basically.
Funny about the side, I was like, wait, well, I guess making his body could count, I guess, kind of, sort of, not really, because she was like a popular girl before she got turned into a demon.
She was a demon before then, I think, though. She was already eating people.
The friend, Amanda Seyfried's character.
No, I'm talking about Megan Fox's character.
Jennifer. But I'm saying, like, didn't Amanda Seyfried's character become a monster too at the end?
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah, so
because she went hunting down the band and murdered the band.
Right. So that could work then if you're saying Amanda Seyfried from Seyfried's point of view. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But y'all let us know in the comments.
Or even what's her name? That girl from Saw 2.
Saw 2? Oh yeah, because she becomes Jigsaw.
Amanda.
Yeah, Amanda.
Yeah, she becomes Jigsaw.
Amanda is something serious. Jesus Christ.
Terry, we got into this, but this is what I wanted to actually have us kind of like just free verse over this, freestyle over this.
Yeah. But y'all, if you guys feel any differently or, feel the same as us about Final Girls or have interesting thoughts on it, please let us know in the comment section below. If you guys want to reach out to us on any of our social media platforms, please do so, because they are linked in the description below. And if you guys are interested in anything Dr. Kaori Knight has to offer with her channel, I'll have her channel linked in the description below as well. Dr. Knight, can you tell everybody where they can find you at before you get about her?
Yes, and I promise I'm going to post something this weekend, I swear. The Comic Doctor's Office on YouTube or on TikTok at Kaori Akari. I'm pretty sure it's what it is. I forget very often. You can just say Dr. Kaori Knight is on there, but I'm pretty sure it's like Kaori Akari. I don't remember. I forget. Listen, I have been on a hiatus of doing things for like 3 months now, so I'm just getting back into it. So I forgot.
Boo. But y'all, this has been another episode of the In and Out Podcast. Again, follow us, subscribe, hit the bell, and if you made it this far into the video, it means you like the video. So again, like the video, and whatever this new hype function is, hype the video too. It's free. Please do it. Again, this has been Captain Diesel, Professor E. King of the Comics, Ethan Murphy, and Dr. Kaori Knight. And wait.
You're listening to the Then and Now Podcast.
Wow.
And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
That was quite the delay.
I hope you step on a Lego.
Good thing we don't have any Legos